Welcome to an episode of Jay Leno's Garage. Bernard and I are here with this BMW, with this front end, this hossack front end, which you've probably seen on the modern BMWs as well. Now, something that's kind of fun to do. You always wonder, you know, we hear the names of all the great engineers and designers from the 20s and 30s, but for some reason we don't hear about the guys that are doing this stuff today. And I want to introduce you to a gentleman who designed this front end, which is his own design. He did it himself. It's been copied the world over, I think it's fair to say. Norman Hossack. Norman, coming in here. How are you? Did I get that right? Has everybody tried to copy your design here?
Yeah, it's quite, it's become known now. And the name Hossack seems to have stuck with the way things have developed.
Right. Now, when did you design this front end?
I started racing motorcycles when I arrived in England in '69. I went to the Isle of Man. I thought I could race there. I didn't actually do very well in getting to race in the Isle of Man, but I did get a job in McLaren's. One of the cars we built at McLaren's was the M23, or Formula One car, which won the World Championship. And for me, the curiosity was that the M23, if you looked at it on the scales, the weight on the front wheel was about 275 pounds. And that's about the same weight as you get on the front of a motorcycle, possibly. And if you look at the structure that held that upright, it weighed a matter of ounces.
Wow.
The top wishbone or bottom wishbone put together, the outside working end of them anyway, was a matter of ounces. So I thought, well, there has to be a better way.
Now, was that because of design or because of materials?
Design,
Okay.
entirely design.
Okay.
The telescopic forks have several bad points that I didn't like, and I worked to try and stop that. The first bad thing was they've got this sliding condition. In order to have sliding, you have to have clearance. And if you have clearance, that means you can get little bits of lash happening this way and that way.
Right.
They also don't have any torsional stiffness, so that there's no way that the forks will actually carry torsion. So that means you could get a little bit of out of angle of the wheel.
Gotcha. Let me ask you about, did you ever look at the Vincent front end, the hydraulic front end? What did you think of that?
That was good inspiration, but it's not the same.
Right.
Because it still has that steering head assembly.
Right.
So a lot of people have associated my design with getting rid of telescopic forks. But the other thing that I got rid of was the steering head.
Right.
So the steering head is the same. If you look at all the motorcycles out there, they all have the same steering head, which is usually two tapered roller bearings tightened against each other, but it's a long way from the ground.
Now, were you doing this on your own time? Now, you're working for McLaren, so you...
This is after I left McLaren.
Oh, I see. So this is your own. You're this is by yourself, which I find fascinating. To me, I like people like yourself that have this kind of inspirational thinking to just sit down and design something as complex as this. Now, when the scrutineers come around, do they go, hey, wait a minute, what is this? I mean, can you go in with something of your own design that has not sort of been proven?
It's become harder in the years that have followed, but at the time when I did it, I was only going club racing. And at club racing, most of the people who were scrutineers found it fascinating.
Yeah.
They wanted to play. They thought this was the way to
So
go.
tell us, how did it work for you out on the track?
This bike and those bike, and I've never felt it do this or weave or wag or any of that. And one of the gains I can achieve by not having the angle of the telescopics is that when you put the brakes on, it doesn't bury its nose in the ground.
Right, right.
So when you stop with this, it'll stop more gently and with much more control.
That was one of the advantages of the Vincent with the hydraulic fork back in the day. It didn't dive on you. It stayed exactly the same height. So what was the first year you did this front end on a motorcycle like this?
The first bike I built during '79. I had a frame on wheels that we could just push around because I couldn't afford all the bits. I got the wheels from a scrap dealer, and I built the suspension, all TIG welding, all needle roller stuff. It was sort of quality attempt. Once we could push it around, we knew it would steer, because in the beginning I didn't know that the steering, what its steering would be like. Once we knew it would steer, I went and persuaded a friend to buy me an engine. I got a Honda XL 500, squeezed that in there, and went racing with it. And that same motorcycle won the British single-cylinder championship 3 years in a row.
Wow. Well, that's pretty
It
cool.
obviously worked.
Yeah. Do you want to show us anything here?
That's what the front upright looks like. So that's what this part here is. And so this is a unfortunately heavy version.
Yeah, yeah, but not that heavy, actually.
Oh no, it's too heavy. I can make that a lot lighter.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately heavy.
Well, this is very light.
This one is 1,800 grams.
Wow.
It's 2 pounds.
Look at that.
So with this, we can save a fair bit of weight on a telescopic
Oh
fork.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Especially unsprung weight.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
all your wishbones are...
How much lighter is this than the telescopic fork?
That first bike I built came in at about 212 pounds, and the opposition I was riding against, or it was being raced against, was about 240 pounds.
Wow.
And that's why it won the championship so many years.
It's much lighter.
Much lighter.
Now BMW now uses this front end. How did that come to be?
When motorcycle racing became difficult in England, about in 1983, I think a lot of money disappeared out of the game. If I have a political thing to say, it's that Margaret Thatcher came and said everybody can buy their houses,
Yeah.
the right to buy act. And so all the people that lived in council houses went and bought houses
Right.
and stopped playing with motorbikes.
Right, right.
So at that time I thought, well, I've got to find some other way of pushing this forward. I thought the next step would be to go onto the road. And so this was it. And this came to me as a crashed bike, bought by my wife's father, donated to the project,
Right.
and I built the rest of it into a bike. And so this was on the road in 1985.
Okay.
Now, the shock absorber that you use in here, this looks like a standard motorcycle shock.
Standard shock.
All right. Now, by all rights, you should be a multi-millionaire with this, correct?
Sorry, I failed you.
No, but I'm saying that's what I mean. You have these great engineers and great minds, people doing these things on their own time, essentially building something better than the factories, better than all those design guys. This is one guy working alone in your garage, in your shop, in your office, and it's fantastic. And that's what's fun to do about this website. Gentlemen like Norman, you see the kind of things they're capable of. It's fantastic to see this kind of work being done by one person and being picked up by major manufacturers. And it's really something, you know, motorcycles don't change a whole lot. They kind of go from 1900 to about 1930, and then there's some changes to about 1960. And motorcycles have had that telescopic front end, and everybody's complained about it for years. And here's someone that's actually done something about it and made an improvement on it. So when you see this name, hossack, that's the guy. That's the guy right there. When you ride your BMW, that's the guy you talk to. So once again, Norman, thank you very, very much. Honor to have you here.
Thank you for having me.